Brendan McDermott is a chef and a cooking instructor. I first met him when I took his knife skills class, which he teaches at the Brooklyn Kitchen.
A lot of us pick up a knife and we just start cooking. We start cutting things. No one ever really shows us how to do it.
One of the most important things I learned how to do in Brendan's knife skills class was how to break down a whole chicken. Brendan invited me over his place to make a chicken tagine, or chicken casserole, out of a chicken that we would quarter together. And of course, Brendan wanted to share with you guys some basic knife skills and safety tips.
This week on Working Class Foodies,
New York Magazine actually just called Brendan's knife skills class the best cooking class in all of New York, so if you live in the area, you have to check it out. In Brendan's class, he covers everything from the absolute basics of how to hold a knife so that you're safer and more accurate when you're chopping things in the kitchen, to all the different kinds of cuts and how to do them properly. Brooklyn Kitchen is a fantastic store in Williamsburg. We sell everything from kitchen gear to basic pantry items, specialty pantry items, beer making kits, and fresh produce. And of course, you can't overlook the meat hook, their butcher shop.
One broiler chicken.
We picked up a 4-pound whole chicken, also known as a broiler, same exact chicken I used last week in our How to Roast a Chicken episode. Then we armed ourselves with some vegetables and headed back to Brendan's place to put together our chicken tagine.
After doing these classes for about 2-3 years, what I've really noticed and seen a lot of is people being scared of their knives. I've watched people within the hour and a half, 2 hours, truly go from nervous and about it, being scared of it, slicing through stuff. And it's just kind of a way to break down some of those walls. If you use the tool correctly, you're gonna have a little bit more ease, a little bit more comfort and speed. Basically, when you're holding your knife, what you don't want to do is kind of rest your finger along the back of the knife. It just makes you want to apply pressure. It makes things a little easier if you actually kind of pinch the side of your knife. Your thumb is kind of down to the side, your forefinger just hanging over just lightly, so it naturally just comes off your arm and onto the board. So kind of like a little 45-degree angle. Kind of consider your knife a little bit more like a pen. You just turn your knife on that angle, keep your fingers folded down, and you can just let the knife do its work. But what you really want to do is just push down and forward. So if you push down, you're going to get a lot of resistance,
right,
and you're going to get one of those,
right,
and that will just ruin your knife. Down and forward. Then when you come up, you bring the knife in towards you a little bit and then straighten it back out. Down and forward, pull up, bring the knife in a little bit, and then go down and forward again. So eventually what you'll end up doing is something like this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do our veg prep first for the tagine style chicken. We got some parsnips and carrots, a little celery and red onion, and we got these nice purple potatoes. We're going rustic here. So we got our parsnips and carrots. Do some garlic. We're gonna cut up some red onion and keep my fingers out of the way. And I'm just gonna make a little bit of a dice in here, nothing too fine. You want to get your vegetables done first, and then you can come to the protein. If you do your protein first, you run the risk of cross-contamination. I know you smell chicken. This is what a real chicken looks like. You really want it to have a little bit of white, a little bit of pink. Some of the stuff that's grown so fast or force-fed, their bones never catch up with them. The meat's really big, but the bones are still really tiny. And you can kind of see the difference. Look for something that just looks really nice and healthy and full. We're gonna cut this. We'll do it into quarters. What I'm gonna do is actually take the wings off, go through the joint itself, and it just separates easily. We're looking at the breast here, right? And you have the sternum here. What you're gonna do is just kind of go to the side of it and draw the first line. And again, you're just gonna slice through. With the knife, you're just gonna go right down and you can move it aside, push the meat away, take your thumb of your other hand, and just kind of push it away. And you can see how it just separates. And then with my thumb holding the meat there, I can just do that again and just draw a couple lines, just turn the knife. And I'm using a boning knife because if you use a chef knife, it's way too wide. You won't actually be able to get through a lot of that. Now again, once you kind of get down to there, you can see the breast is actually taken right off. And right there is that white joint again. You just take your knife and again, go right through and dislocate. Now if you see the breast is completely off, there's a natural division in the skin. Now I'm going to take my thumb and go right up to the knee and just pop the hip right out. And there's a straight line from the shoulder to the hip. And just gently saw back and forth, and you pretty much have your half chicken. You're paying for the butcher to do this in the supermarkets and stuff, so you might as well just get the whole entire chicken and do it yourself. Now, with that natural division there, you can take your knife and go right through the skin. And there you go. There's your leg and your thigh and your breast. Now you're just gonna do the same thing on the other side. There's a lot of different ways to break down a chicken. This is one of those ways that you can really learn the bone structure and really see what you're dealing with. You know, it's basic, but it's easy. It's a good way to really not waste anything. There is the back meat, which a lot of people love. If you want to get to the oysters, cut through there, just crack that in half, and then you have your nice little oysters in there, which are really always very tasty. They should never go to anyone but the cook. So I'll take the tagine dish and get it in there nice and hot so we can sear off the chicken. So we're gonna add like a little bit of turmeric, give it some color. We'll do that on the meat side as well. And just for good measure, we'll add a little bit more saffron. Healthy amount of salt. My grains of paradise. The tagine's nice and hot. We're just gonna sear off the meat first. Got the oven at a nice 400. We're gonna do 400, 450. We seared off our chicken and let it sit for a little bit. So now what we're actually gonna do is just pull it out and put our veg in. Put in our potatoes, our carrots, a little bit of our parsnip. Do a little celery and onion too. Once we have that, we're gonna take our chicken, put that right on top. Now you can take about a cup of stock, put the lid on it, and just get it in the oven. That looks nice. The skin's separated, so we're probably pretty close. You don't want to overcook your chickpeas. We're gonna leave the top off for a minute and kind of get some of that crispiness back into the skin. There we go.
That looks actually really good.
And then you can take your fresh parsley and mint. It's always nice to get different color things. A little composition, a little orange, a little white, a little purple, a little green. You know, it kind of brings the plate to life. That's how we're gonna do this one. There you go. Did she finish it? Almost. Oh my God.
This tagine had 4 generous helpings in it, so that's 4 people. The total cost came to just under $20, or of course, just under $5 a person. Chances are you don't have a tagine, and that's totally fine. You can use a casserole dish and just a tight-fitting lid, or even a cast iron pot like a Le Creuset. You could do it without the chicken entirely, make it vegetarian. You can even do it with fish. And of course, we could have gone in a completely different direction and used dried fruits like prunes and apricots. So write in, let us know if you've ever cooked in a tagine. We'll see you next week on Working Class Foodies.
Yeah, she's never been like that.